Hey guys, my name's Michelle and welcome to my channel, Everyday Witchery. On this channel, we talk about all things esoteric, especially about how to live your witchcraft every day. So today what I want to talk about is doing a little sigil magic. We just moved into this house a few weeks ago, and something that I want to get done on my magical to-do list is to ward my home. How I like to do this is I like to create a sigil for warding, and then what I will do is actually mix up a little salt mixture with some water and maybe some oils. I think I'm going to make something brand new, so I need to look into what mixture I want to make, and I will definitely do a video on that too. But I'll make this salt mixture, and then I'll have my sigil that I've created, and I'll actually go around the home and ward on my windows and doors and other openings to the house. This is to ward the home, protect it, keep any ill intent out, and keep everyone inside safe. But today in this video, what I'm going to talk about is creating the sigil. If you're not familiar with sigil magic, it is, I think, one of the best ways to get into witchcraft and start practicing magic, because all you really need is a pen and a piece of paper, and of course your will and intent, because magic comes from us, not from our tools. And that's something I will also do another video on, because I think it's very, very important, especially for new witches and those just beginning in the craft, to realize that your magic and your power comes from you, not from your tools, but tools are definitely very helpful. So today I'm going to show you how I create this sigil, and I think I got off track, so let me back up. So sigil magic, all you need is a piece of paper and some sort of writing utensil. And basically you will take a phrase, whatever phrase serves you, and you'll write it down, and then from the letters in your phrase you will actually create a symbol, and this is your sigil, and it represents your phrase, which should represent your intent, and then all this together will create a magical sigil that you can then use in many ways. Some people make sigils and then they later burn them to release the magic. I'm going to be taking my symbol, my sigil, and using it to ward my home through the protective salt mixture I'm going to make later. So let's get to it, and I'll show you how to make the sigil. Okay, so we are making our sigil to ward the house. And so basically when you're making a sigil, you want to come up with some sort of statement of intent. Intent is always our basis for working magic. And so my intent is to protect my home and everyone inside from any ill will, any harm. So I made this statement: this home and all within are protected and defended from ill will and harm. That is my intent for this ward. That is my intent for my sigil I'm going to make. Now, when you're making sigils, you can really kind of make them from your statement, however works for you. Some people make very elaborate sigils, and I like to do something like that if I'm going to like burn it later or bury it or something like that. But this is actually going to be one that I'm going to be tracing with my finger outside on all my doors and windows. So I don't want it to be too complex, because that might be difficult to do a lot as I go around the perimeter of my home. So what I've decided to do with this sigil is actually only use the first letter of every word. So typically, and I'm going to use my red pen to show this. There's different ways you can do it. A common way I usually do it is when you're making the sigil, so you need to first gather what letters are going to form your symbol. And usually what I do is I mark out all the vowels and all repeating letters, and then whatever's left is what I use. But that can often be a lot, especially with a really long statement like this. So since I don't want it to be too complicated, I want to try to break this down more. So what I'm actually going to do first is just only take the first letter of every word. So that's going to be THAAWAPADFIWAH. Then what I'm going to do, so those are what I'm working with now. And so we can kind of, let's put them down here so we can really see what we're working with. So we have T, H, A, W, A, P, A, D, F, I, W, A, H. So that's what we're left with now. Well, what I'm going to do now is I am going to cross out all the vowels. So we have A, lots of A's, I, A. And then I am also going to cross out any repeating. So we have T, H, W, P, D, F, W, H. So this W and this H we don't need. So that now leaves us with T, H, W, P, D, F. I think that's it. Okay. So this is now, these are the letters that we're going to use to create our sigil. So typically what I like to do is start with some of the bigger looking letters. As you practice this, you'll realize that some letters are easier to add into your sigil design than others. I love to use H as a base because there's so many areas where you can add on. W is kind of a difficult one, so I usually try to leave that for later, because depending on how you do your W is how it can fit in. Sometimes using it curved, I normally write it curved like this, but you know, if you write it more like that, it all just depends on how your design is coming and how you want to fit it in. So W is something I typically try to work in later. So like I said, I really like to use H as a base, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I hope you can see this well. Let me check. Yeah, okay, good. So there's our H. So H is done. So T is something that's really easy. I like to kind of top hat things, so I'm going to put my T here. So as you can see, so here's H and here's T. So we have both those letters in this symbol right now. So those are done. P is another one that's fairly simple to do. Now again, because of my intention on what I'm going to use this sigil for, I'm thinking of it and like what is going to be an easy, what is going to be an easy way for me to trace with my protective salt later. So I want to try to figure out a way to make this flow pretty good. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the P and I'm going to make it here, because then this will kind of have like a flow to it, right? So we'll do P right here. So we have it's a P, it's upside down, but there's the P worked into our sigil. Now this is where you can start seeing other things. So like we already have the D, it's right here, right? So that's already our D. So we don't even have to worry about working that in. Also, we already have F, right? So there's our F. So that's done. So this is coming along great because I wanted something to be really simple, and this is definitely coming along really good. So the only thing I have left to work in is my W. So I could, if I wanted to do the rounded thing, I could do another curve here, but that's going to make it kind of weird with the top of the T, I think. So what I see that I would like to do is actually make it a square W. So we have this, and then put a line here. So here's our W. And so that completes the sigil. So this sigil now will represent my statement of intent. And then as I go about my home and ward the outside of my home, ward my windows and my doors, I will trace this symbol with my finger, which I think should be pretty pretty good, because I could do like T and then actually just go all the way around and like that. So let me show you what I mean. I think, yeah, this is going to work really good. So I can just do like so, and then whoop and whoop. And there's our symbol that can be drawn with only picking up the pen or the finger, what, 1, 2, 3 times. So that absolutely is what I was looking for, something simple, something I can do over and over with my protective mixture later. And yeah, so this is how you make a sigil. Again, depending on what you want to do, you can make sigils as complex and elaborate or as simple as you need. It all comes down to what you need for the magic that you're going to work. And this is perfect for a simple one. As you can see, I also kind of changed how I decided what letters to use. You can use more or less letters, all depending on what you need and how you like to do it. So I encourage you to even just practice, like come up with some little statements and practice drawing sigils, because it's actually pretty fun. Pretty fun and a nice creative way to come up with really cool looking magical symbols that you can use for a variety of purposes. I'll do another video to go a little more in depth on sigil magic later, but this is something I'm needing to get done soon. And the whole point I'm really working on with this channel is to talk about everyday magic and everyday witchery and things that, you know, when new people really get involved in witchery, they think of very elaborate big rituals and stuff. But really, if we want to embrace our path every single day, we need to be thinking about things that affect us every day. And for us here in this new home, and even in your current home, if you've never protected or warded it, this is a great magical practice to have. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.